Richard C. Meyer, also known as your boy Zach, has announced his decision to voluntarily dismiss the Jawbreakers lawsuit against Mark Waid. This lawsuit was brought a couple of years ago now, because Richard Meyer was trying to publish a graphic novel with Antarctic Press, and Mark Waid got in the middle and stopped the publication. Richard sued him. This is coming from Bounding Into Comics. Here's the update on this. Richard C. Meyer has announced that he will voluntarily dismiss his torturous interference and defamation lawsuit against Mark Waid, concluding the years-long legal battle that polarized the comic book community. There were a lot of people on the both sides of this, COMICSGATE on one side and kind of everybody else on the other side. Some people that, kind of didn't care one way or the other. But Mark Waid interfered with Richard Meyer being able to publish his graphic novel with an independent company. Mark called them. Mark basically told them, hey, it wouldn't be such a good idea to publish this. I just want you to know who you're getting into business with. Basically, he interfered with Richard's ability to just publish the graphic novel he wanted to publish. And Richard sued him because of this. As summarized in the opening to a joint statement from Richard Meyer and Mark Waid, published to the former Patreons. Okay, so on Richard Meyer's Patreon account, he published a statement that basically explained that on September 19th, 2018, plaintiff Richard Meyer filed a lawsuit in the District Court of the Western District of Texas against defendant Mark Waid that asserted claims of torturous interference with contract and defamation arising out of the intended publication of a comic book by Antarctic Press entitled Jawbreakers. That was Richard's book. Following the jurisdictional discovery and motions practice, a First Amendment complaint was filed on July 24th, 2019. The statement further recalled, it's the cover of Jawbreakers. According to the statement, Meyer's decision to dismiss was largely based on Jawbreaker's successful publication since the lawsuit's initial filing and the unforeseen economic impact of the ongoing pandemic. So basically, Richard's claim was, and it's got to be a business claim. It can't just be like a claim where it's, in the name of justice or in the name of fairness. Courts are not there to establish fairness. They're there to settle disputes. Richard's dispute was, hey, Mark Waid, you're interfering with me being able to make money publishing my comic book. And Mark Waid's defense was, no, I didn't. So they went to court over it. And long story short, Jawbreakers was a huge success, even though Antarctic Press didn't publish it. And since Richard has published a number of successful other graphic novels. So it is difficult for Richard Meyer to be able to now make a claim saying like, well, I would have made all this extra money if you would have let me publish through Antarctic Press and didn't interfere, Mr. Waid. So give me money. The problem with that argument is he's been pretty successful. He's been very successful as an independent publisher. And part of it is because Mark Waid interfered with him because it created publicity for Richard's projects. I know a lot of people have directly told me in messaging and YouTube chats and Twitter, hey, I supported Richard's books because of the dispute with Mark Waid. So that's an issue. If you can't really show where you lost money as a result of someone else's actions, you can't reclaim that money that really isn't there. Quote, upon consideration of all the circumstances, the parties have jointly decided that it is in the best interest of all concerned and the comic book community at large for this litigation to end, and Mr. Meyer has decided to voluntarily dismiss the lawsuit. The statement reads, neither party has admitted any liability or responsibility, can claim to have achieved any victory, and both have agreed to assume their own fees and costs. Well, this is a victory. It's a victory to not have to pay the other side's legal fees and to walk away paying your own legal fees. It's a bigger victory if you can get a judge to say, and the other side should pay the fees. If both admit, no official wrongdoing and both are responsible for their own costs and fees, that means that each of them are spending six-figure dollars, more than $100,000 to pay their own legal fees. And, as far as the judge's decision and their mutual settlement, no one is in the wrong. And no one's responsible for each other's fees. Back to the article. Oh, by the way, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications. Give me comments on what you think of my analysis of this. Love to see your comments. Unfortunately, fans may never know the exact details behind Meyer's and Waid's agreement, as the comic book creators concluded the joint statement by informing readers that, quote, with the dismissal of the lawsuit, the parties have executed a confidential agreement and have no interest in continuing this dispute in the public arena or anywhere else. So the dispute is not going to continue. Now, this is to say that this public statement is not their agreement. Okay, so not to confuse it. The public statement is that they're going to end the litigation. Neither of them are going to claim liability or responsibility or winning or losing any lawsuits or this lawsuit related to this case. But there's also a secret agreement that they've confidentially agreed to that will not be made public. What's in that agreement? Well, it's a secret. But what it is there's definitely... what they've said publicly is they're not paying each other's legal fees, which again, I bring it up, but that's a big deal. If a case has no merit, it gets thrown out. If it has no merit, but it gets forced forward somehow, then a judge is going to order the other party, if they can't prove their case at all, to make some kind of restitution, either for the incident or for the inconvenience of having to defend it in court. There's nothing like that here. There's nothing where the judge is saying this wasn't a case with merit. Didn't necessarily mean that Richard would have prevailed if you took it to trial. It just means that the judge had no, necessarily a problem with the case publicly. Mark Zaid is one of Mark Waid's attorneys, and he stated here, the comic book defamation case against my client Mark Waid that's related to COMICSGATE has been dismissed with prejudice. The parties' joint statements below. Now, some people don't understand what dismissed with prejudice means. I'm going to explain it as it's helpful. When it's dismissed with prejudice, first of all, in law, it's important to look at every word. So when they say dismissed, that means the case has been decided and ended from the court. So the court is no longer involved with it. That's what that means, dismissed. When he says with prejudice in law means this. In the formal legal world, a court case that is dismissed with prejudice means that it is dismissed permanently. A case dismissed with prejudice is over and done with once and for all and can't be brought back to court. This means that the parties agree that the case is over. Okay, and that's sanctioned by the court, which means if Richard Meyer was to follow another action related to this, or if Mark Waid wanted to file an action against Richard Meyer about this case, the court would not accept it, or if it was accepted, it would be immediately dismissed as, hey, this was already dismissed with prejudice. And that there would be probably a finding of legal fees against the person who brought the case, because it was all settled and agreed to by the parties that it would not be gone forward with. A case dismissed without prejudice means the opposite. So it's not necessarily dismissed forever. So the parties could have decided, you know what, we're going to dismiss this without prejudice in case one of the parties wants to bring the lawsuit back to court or try it in another jurisdiction, another court somewhere else, or another state in another court. They're not doing that. They agreed to just kill it. This doesn't mean that Richard Meyer wins. It doesn't mean that Mark Waid wins. It just means the two have agreed to settle. In terms of what Richard Meyer's goals were in bringing this lawsuit in the first place, that's for him to say. My understanding is that he'd be able to publish his Jawbreakers comic and publish other comics without Mark Waid or anyone else directly interfering with his ability to publish that. He's got that. He's already proven that because he's published many graphic novels. He's publishing whatever graphic novels he wants to publish now, and he's doing very well with them. And people like them, and he ships them and delivers them. He's very, very, very effective at publishing and delivering on his comics. Now, the people that supported Richard's GoFundMe paid in about $146,000 for legal fees. They are heroes. All of them are heroes because they made it possible for Richard to stand up to Mark Waid and try to stop him. And they did stop him. So if it wasn't for crowdfunding to crowdfund Richard's legal fees, there's no way Richard... I mean, I don't know Richard's financial situation, but it probably he could not have hired the lawyers he needed to hire and go forward and do this. It's very expensive to have this kind of a court case. On his Patreon account, Meyer published the joint statement alongside a message of thanks to everyone who has helped fund this effort, and proceeded to announce to his supporters that once the final account is made, any remaining funds will be donated to charity. So if there's any funds left over from the money that was set aside for the GoFundMe for the legal fees, Richard is saying he will donate those additional funds to charity. I'd be surprised if there was any money left over, but who knows? We'll see. Legal stuff is very expensive. Meyer also assured fans that he will shut down his GoFundMe before the end of the month, so no one's charged anymore. So there won't be any monthly charges as of January 1st to anyone who's been contributing to the GoFundMe. And anybody, as far as now, no one's seen any responses from Mark Waid. Mark Waid might republish this statement with Richard Meyer, but he may also say nothing. He'd probably be very happy to have this be over in his life, because a lawsuit like this, whether you're suing the person, but particularly if you're being sued, is really disruptive to life. It complicates things. It's very difficult to deal with. And I'm glad that Richard Meyer fought this as long as he could, as long as it made sense to fight it. Again, they have a secret agreement that's confidential. We don't know what's in that agreement. The only thing we know that's in that agreement, as far as legal fees go, Richards is paying his own, and Mark Waid has to pay his own legal fees. And in terms of them announcing that they won a case, or neither one is going to make that announcement. So, good luck to Richard with his future publishing, and a huge thank you to the people that supported Richard, that made it viable for someone to stand up and say, hey, excuse me, I want to publish my comics. Stop calling people in the industry and telling them not to work with me. And if Richard didn't do that, tell me what you think about it in the comments below. We couldn't have gone forward and done what everybody's done with COMICSGATE. Speaking of COMICSGATE, my most recent project, The Mermaids, is funded. It's now in demand. You can definitely support my work by checking out The Mermaids at epicmermaids.com. I'll have a link to it in the description. This is scheduled to ship April 2021. I'm looking at shipping it a little bit earlier, and I'm also working on putting it in an oversized format. It's going to be very cool. I'll do an announcement on it as soon as it's available. But it's a full-color new series, Game of Thrones with mermaids. Jonna thought she had nothing left to live for until she discovered a new purpose, revenge. So it's a revenge story. It's very cool. Also, College of the Dead. That's what I'm mostly known for. My ongoing zombie apocalypse series, College of the Dead Graduation Day, where college costs you an arm and a leg. All new full-color ongoing series. Check it out at collegeofthedead.com. You can see a link in the description. All right, I will see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you. As always, love to see your comments below.